I'm very honored to have these artists in my space. I feel very fortunate to have an opportunity to have this space. So, Ebony and I met through Leadership Arts, which is an Oklahoma Arts Council program, and we were in the same class. And so that's sort of how the shows happened between us. But Ebony sort of had the vision to curate it, so I wanted her to talk a little bit about that. So Ebony, I'm going to let you speak at this point.
Well, first I want to say thank you so much to Lisa for opening her doors and allowing us to kind of do what we wanted. I mean, she just said, well, Ebony, you know, just let me know what the theme is. You've got till November to tell me, and we'll figure it out. So about October 31st, I called her up, and we had a theme. So I'm thankful to all of the artists who are participating. Please raise your hands or your name tag. Most of us are up here. So there's a lot of artists that live right here that participated. There's also artists that, such as Zaina Allen, who has these two pieces here. She's in San Francisco. She's one of our board members for African Nation Artist Organization. And Amber Wiley, she's a native Oklahoman. She's currently traveling the world. She's in India right now, but took these pictures on her trips to Ghana and Ethiopia. And so she sent them back here. Her family, you know, framed them, and she was able to be in the show as well. And these pieces are part of the International Art Exchange Project between artists in Ethiopia and Somalia. And it's a collaboration between, I should say, Somaliland, Somalia. But anyhow, it's a collaboration around the theme family rituals and traditions. And so basically one artist would start, they would create a piece of music or a painting around that theme, family rituals and traditions. And then their video interview along with their art would go to the next artist who would create a response. And so the video interviews that are looping, you'll be able to see in a little bit, highlight their exchange. And there's just a number of talent. I'm just feel fortunate to have reeled it all in into one space. So the theme, Wanderlust, Nomadic Interpretations of Contemporary Africa, it could be considered broad, but the goal was to create a space for artists to talk about Africa through their own voice. And did they have to be of African descent? Not necessarily, but so people responded and they shared Africa through their eyes. And so there's a number of artists that are participating, and I'll let them talk about what nomadic interpretations of contemporary Africa means to them. But for the most part, it was a chance for people to tell the story of Africa through their eyes, because as we all know in the media, it can be quite a negative picture. So hopefully you'll get quite a varied perspective here. So I will turn it over to Lisa.
Well, just stemming off that, you just set the platform for me. Why don't you guys, the artists are, why don't you introduce yourselves and where you're from, and then why don't you guys also then talk about how your work relates to contemporary Africa. I'll move this back.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Tiffany. You get started.
Thank you. Tiffany Sanders, originally from Oklahoma City. Military brats, I traveled a lot. But I just recently moved back here 3 years ago from South Carolina. And basically, I met Ebony through a different show for OKC Artists for Justice, and I was doing a show for women empowerment. And I had started off with a live painting, and I had smaller pieces to sell, and she invited me to the show, and she told me a bit about the project. So I actually had a piece available, which is Mother Earth over here, and I came up with the idea for giving the women, especially black women, some sense of purpose, that the spirit that I was getting from a lot of women was down. So I was trying to lift that up by showing them that, you know, where life all originated from, the continent of Africa, and how the life comes from woman. So I created this piece, Mother Earth, and I chose very vibrant color. I love color, but I chose vibrant color to give this painting life, to give woman life, and to represent and uplift black women in particular. So that's where I came up with this piece.
And
My name is Gay Pasley, and I grew up in Oklahoma. As a child, I always felt just a huge loss for Africa, growing up African American and just wondering where it is that my African ancestor came from. It was a loss for me. I created stories that there was an African family that captured their ancestors' footprint in the sand, and that they dreamed of this person coming back. Of course, where would I go? Until Dr. Henry Louis Gates did the story where he featured 19 prominent African Americans, T.D. Jakes, Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg, and they did the DNA testing, and actually they went back to where they came from. Of course, I'm a single mom. I assumed, this has got to be incredibly expensive. Eventually reconnected with my father's family and found out that they had already done the research, and it was Sierra Leone, West Africa. It took me 5 years to raise the money, but I eventually went there and I worked with a physician, Dr. Abdul Daniel Sese. He was of the same tribe as me, and it was an adventure of a lifetime. I got kicked off a missions team. It was incredible, and I still went. And took some incredible pictures. I think I had my first art exhibit within 30 days of getting back home, and it's been wonderful ever since. And I will just go ahead and share this. My day job is a nurse, and I've been a nurse for over 20 years. And my passion has always been women and children. And in the early part of my nursing career, I had developed a charitable organization for low-income women in Oklahoma. I get to Sierra Leone, Africa, which has the highest infant mortality and maternal morbidity rate. And I saw more women and children die in 2 weeks than I had my entire nursing career. In fact, one of the first pictures that I took, they sent me back, part of that getting kicked off the missions team. I ended up going as a photographer versus a nurse. But like I said, I worked with this doctor, and one of the first pictures I took was of a woman who had been in a village, and it was just, horrific. The things we take for granted, Tylenol, But I have since helped that doctor build a maternity ward in Africa. And also, he only had maybe 12 staff, 7 of them died from Ebola. And my pictures were sold, and I partnered with an organization. We sent over $200,000 worth of equipment. So he is now up and running in Sierra Leone and retraining his staff. So I just want to share that with you guys. Thank you so much. Believe in your dreams. Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex Tuakatilu. I'm from Kenya, and being from Kenya art is not really enforced in Kenya. When you grow up, your parents will tell you what you want to be when you grow up. Better be a doctor, a lawyer, so art is usually looked at as not important. So I'm a self-taught artist. I had that itch and I needed to scratch it, so to speak. So when I came here, I started doing a jazz series. And the reason why I started doing the jazz series is because there's this cultural collection about Africa in jazz. It's the fusion of African music and light classical European music kind of brought about the birth of jazz. And I always had the music, but I didn't know the musicians themselves. So when I came here, I tried to figure out how can I get to know them and understand where they're coming from. So I wanted to answer the question, if you could see the soul of jazz, what would it look like? And I started out with a very technical and precise way of painting. Then understanding jazz more, I kind of figured it has a lot to do with improvisation. So I kind of shifted from the clean style and just started doing improvise and see where it takes me. So that's my story, and thank you for you guys coming around and for Ebony to invite me. Thank you.
For all who don't know me, nice to meet you. I'm Ronna Pernell, and I'm an Oklahoma native. I'm a self-taught artist, which I started back in high school, and been showing professionally about since 2006. Met Ebony through
with which we helped, it's like a women empowerment with the breast cancer wellness program, and where we were able to get several artists to participate. When she asked me, I was so excited to help with this particular, because I would go do any shows. But my pieces that I do is like to, as Tiffany and Ye says, to embrace all Black women of color or women of color. And I want to show that from the beauty of where we can see ourselves. And my style is different. It's kind of nostalgic. It's different. A lot of people like pictures with color because of visual eye. But black and white, I think it has its own beauty in its own right. And the style with the stippling, so I usually sketch it out and do it with a small pen. So that piece usually takes about a month and a half to complete. And usually it's a variation from different photographs that I interpret and put my own little spin and story to. And thank y'all for coming. But I want to appreciate everybody that's supporting the arts, because we're trying to open a door to say that all artists, because I remember when I was first starting out, I didn't know what door to go to. I went to OVAC and started there with the different workshops to learn about how to market myself, or to just develop the craft or your gift that was given. And I think that it's an awesome thing to share to the public and to the world, to the universe. Yes.